What's going on, guys? My name is Assam from dopelifecoaching.com, and today I'm going to be talking about how to set certain social cues in the interaction with a girl as opposed to just picking up on them. So you're trying to set instead of pick up on certain social cues so you could be the one in control of the conversation, in control of the dynamic itself, and ultimately get the results that you actually want. So, first and foremost, let's talk about a certain psychological principle. It's called meta frames. If you guys know, there's certain things known as frames of reference, which you're probably sure of. And this, what I'm talking about, it's called meta frames. Meta frames is basically it's the social dynamics that you set in the interaction, right? The overall meaning that you set within the dynamic of the interaction. So when you're talking to a girl, you want to be the one who's setting the meta frame so that she could be the one who's responding to you. You want to be the leader and she the follower when you're interacting with one another, regardless of what you guys are doing, right? So these are very subtle things. The tricky part with this is it's very subtle, and most guys mess up on this stuff, especially with women they're really attracted to or really interested to in, and they tend to mess it up because they're so nervous and they're trying to get the girl's approval because they're afraid of losing her, when really 9 times out of 10 that's just not going to work, right? So the thing with metaframes is there's two parts of it. There's setting the metaframe, and then there's controlling or maintaining the metaframe. So let's go into each one specifically right now and, go into the details so you can kind of understand how it works and why it's so subtle, but at the same time, it's not too difficult to do. And also, you can dramatically improve your results when you actually understand this thoroughly. So let's take a look at my notes really quickly. So setting the meta frame, right? We discussed the meta frame is about the overall dynamics of the interaction and the meaning that you want to set to the interaction. Some things you can do are, for example, you can ask qualifying questions to her. Instead of always being the one to qualify to her, which most guys do, you want her to qualify herself to you. Be like, what's something that's unique and different about you compared to the rest of the people that I know? And let her qualify herself to you. That's a serious question. Also, you want to be playful more than serious, but that's just one example. You should also playfully tease her. Throw in a bit of cockiness without coming off as a dick when you're talking to her. Like, for example, if she's like, "Oh, you're very good at this or you're very good at that," be like, "Oh, I know," and then playfully smile about it and just joke around like a playful smile like that. Don't go too overboard, or else you're gonna come off as an arrogant dickhead. So you don't want to be an arrogant dickhead. So that's what else do we have? If you're going for ice cream, for example, and then for example, my one of my favorite flavors are cookies and cream, and you're like, okay, I'll get cookies and cream. What about you? And she's like, ooh, you like cookies and cream? Be like, ooh, to you. You don't like cookies and cream? What kind of person are you? You're weird. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to work out. And then you playfully joke around like that, and she's going to think it's funny, and she's going to be more attracted to you because it's also going to come off as ballsy because most of the guys are simply not willing to do that. So like it comes off, it's funny. It's like it makes her also establish familiarity with you, which is good. Another way to set up a meta frame is just, even jokes aside, without just with being a leader. That's a good way to set the meta frame. Like if you're just with her on a good time, on a good date, you can just go out and be adventurous and spontaneous, and just as you're on a date and having an awesome time, be like, I just want to travel the world, and I've always dreamed of traveling the world and just being free and checking out all these awesome cultures and these awesome spots and trying these new types of foods. And then tell you what, let's take an adventure right now. You stand up, take your hand out like that, let her grab your hand, and just go for an adventure wherever the hell you are. It doesn't even have to involve money, but just have fun. You're setting the meta frame in her mind that you are a fun guy and you are a leader and you are charming and you are funny. All of that in one. She's going to pick up on these things, and then when she goes home, she's going to be like, I don't know what's about this guy that's so different, but he's making me feel all these types of things. And that's awesome. That's your ultimate goal. So notice how all the things I just said, they imply that you are setting the meta frame. She is not setting the meta frame for you. You are setting it for her to react to it. You are not reacting to what she's doing. which is ultimately the position that you want to be in anyways. So those are just a couple of examples on how to set the metaframe. Now, how do you maintain or control the metaframe? The way to do that is obviously just going along with what's, going and continuing with what's going on. When you set the metaframe, and if there's a joke, you continue on with it, but you don't overdo it, because you're gonna look like a fucking clown, which it's gonna come off as really weird. So you don't want to do that. A couple of ways you can do it is just every now and then just throw a joke at her, but just like a playful one. You don't want to be demeaning or or hurtful in any way. That's just retarded. I never condone that type of behavior. For example, you guys could be joking around about something, and for example, back to the ice cream thing, the cookies and cream thing I just told you about. And if she doesn't agree with it, be like, I don't know, you definitely can't handle me. I mean, you don't like cookies and cream, you don't like the color red, which happens to be my favorite color, you don't like this type of band, you don't like this type of singer or this type of actor. I don't know, you won't be able to handle me. You definitely won't be able to handle me. And then she might ask, oh, why won't I be able to handle you? But like, also, there's other things, but those things are kind of, they're kind of secret. Or you can joke around and be like, they're rated R. That's going to trigger a different series of reactions in her that you don't know what could happen, which are definitely going to be positive. But you always want to be unpredictable. She doesn't want to be able to think what you're going to say next. It's best to be unpredictable and really quickly. Those are perfect. Don't hesitate. Just don't do anything that's too overbearing or too hurtful or too funny or too much too soon of anything. It's simple. The quickest way to solve any problem is to break it down into its simpler, form, the simplest form. Another thing, like if she tells you about something she did, at the beginning of the story, tell her, oh, I'm not judging you. But then later on, be like, oh my God, you are crazy. I had to judge that. How could I not judge that? You actually did that before? You actually prank called someone? Like, you're definitely too crazy for me. Oh my God. I don't know if I can take this. And go along for like a minute or two, but then joke, and then like put it to the side and be like, okay, I'm just joking. It's I did crazy things myself, and then you mentioned XYZ, whatever. You did all these crazy stuff. And she's gonna like that. Just don't come off as a dickhead, and don't come off as you're trying way too hard. Also, another way to maintain the metaframe after you set it is you throw in certain sexual innuendos and make it seem as though she's the one who's indirectly implying that she wants to have sex with you. Like, it's hard to say right off the bat, but like, for example, I don't know, like, for example, I have a pool in my backyard, and it's covered. Let's say she was telling you a story about a pool, and she was like, yeah, we took the top off. And then you could be like, wait, you took the top off? I don't know, this is getting way too inappropriate right now. I barely even know you, and you're talking to me about this? What the hell? And like, look at her in a funny way, but like, joke around. Do them every now and then, but don't overdo it. And that'll definitely put something in her head towards you, like, oh, this guy's very playful. And she's subconsciously going to start associate these things with you in the real life, not just as a joke. So it'll definitely work out because it's very powerful. And keep in mind, guys, none of these things are about manipulation. If that's what you think, that's absolutely not the case. These are all about effortless, relationships and good times to have with members of the opposite sex, so they can flourish into better things for you in your future. Also, another thing about metaframes in general, whether it's setting or controlling, I would like to say, when it comes to things, if she throws a compliment at you, and don't make it seem like you're too impressed with it, like you're about to fall, like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, she could be telling you something like, oh, my other friend, she thought you were cute. But like, oh, I appreciate that, nice. Don't keep going into it being like, oh, really? She thought it was cute? Oh, what was her name? What was it? Like my body, right? Like I was tall, like it was my haircut, right? Don't do that. Those subconsciously make you seem insecure. Sorry, unconsciously make you seem very insecure and very needy. Make it seem as though you are, but not in an arrogant way. Be like, oh, I appreciate that, thank you, and then go on to the next subject. Like it's not too big of a deal because you hear this too oftenly. Even if you don't, but you want to act higher status always. You always want to come off as the highest status version of yourself, because that's better for yourself anyways, regardless of women being in the equation. The way you see yourself is the way others are going to see you. So that's always the best choice and the best option. So that pretty much wraps it up. You know, guys, regardless of the examples I set here, these are just my personal examples. You don't even have to copy a damn one of them, but just get to the point where you are comfortable using these meta frames and you are confident in the fact that they actually work. Just set the meta frame and then maintain. You set it and then you maintain. Don't think about it logically, because I don't anymore. I have way too much experience to be doing that, but it's just, I'm trying to break it down for you in the easiest and simplest form so that eventually it becomes part of who you are. You don't even have to think about it. Practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect. Rinse, recycle, repeat. Practice, practice, practice. And then go out, do your thing, and have fun. And with time, you're going to get this stuff, and it's going to be easier. You know, like, it's going to be easier than anything for you. You know, you'll know like the back of your hands. So if you'd like to get my personal help, you could always go on my website on www.dopelifecoaching.com and click on book online. We still have free 10-minute consultations, or you could book the paid option, whatever's best for you. But my paying clients have always been the best people in terms of their progress. So take care of that, and I shall see you soon. Peace.